Well, there's one of those beautiful shots on goal from the USC side of things. Here is Stacey Ann Smith, or no, that was Alicia Ortiz actually with her first touch in the midfield as we look through some of these replays that go into the second half as the teams continue to warm up here at Mike A. Meyer Stadium. Jessica Stamp alongside myself, Lane Zeben. The red card will play a crucial role in this second half. USC only playing with 10 players, and it was a straight red card at that, so that means Allie Harrison is at least going to sit out the next game, maybe a couple, depending on how the NCAA decides to look at this being an out-of-conference game, and it wasn't really that malicious, but the speed that Texas has up at the forward position, Fortune getting the rest, Stacey Ann Smith, the track star, getting on and forcing really the goalkeeper and the defender to really make those quick decisions that they're probably not used to having so early in the season.
That speed has been threatening all day for Texas, and you're right, one of them's going to fall. You know, all these chances in behind. These through balls from the midfield, by the way, are fantastic because they're not going all the way back to church, or they're not, you know, slow up in front of them to their feet. They're perfect, and I think that one of those is gonna go through for Texas. And you saw like that one with Ortiz on the left side. Those are one of those opportunities that we think of. We're thinking, oh, that's a good, dangerous chance. That really didn't turn into a shot so much. But I think Texas is going to get more and more of those on target if they continue to play really good through balls through the USC defense.
Well, it looks like Ashley Sandoval will be the player coming on into the midfield for Allie Harrison. We don't know quite yet who the four defenders will be for USC, but it finally seems like the star player for the Lady Trojans will get a look at action, and she probably will play this whole half as she did against TCU when she scored in the 40th minute. Like you said, not probably able to go the full 90 minutes, but the Longhorns now have to deal with her and Davila, who they've really kept a nice handcuff to.
We can see Sandoval there on the right side. It has her brace on, her ACL brace on, so she's still wearing her brace, and that just shows you that she's not 100%. So she's not completely back yet, and that's probably why she's not going to play the full 90 minutes. But she is someone that USC needs to control the midfield. That will allow Johnson to move a bit more forward and hopefully be a bit more threatening for USC. They're going to have to push numbers forward. They're down 1-0, and they only have 10 players on the field, but they still have to push forward and get chances if they want to win.
Starting our second half off will be the Longhorns moving left to right. They're wearing all white. The USC Lady Trojans are wearing all red with a little bit of yellow trim. Already out of the gates, a trip up from the USC Trojans and the foul called against them for a Texas free kick over on the far side of the field. Coming onto the pitch will be Claire Schlomer, wearing number 2 on the defensive side of things. She's somebody that we mentioned pregame as one of the juniors that was returning to this squad, and she was also on that 2007 national championship team. She'll have to make up for the loss of Allie Harrison, who was ejected. Shot on target already in the first minute of the second half, but it's handled nicely by the freshman Shelby Church. Gall gets her first touch of the second half and boots one downfield. Same starting lineup for the Texas Longhorns. Fortune, Zarnagar, Hannah Higgins, all back on the pitch. Morrow with control. Fryer now with the ball. And Alexa Gall nicely off her line to take this one in. The pass back from Carter Haug doesn't quite reach her strikers up top, and the Longhorns can sort of rest a bit easier after the first 5 minutes here seem to be jumping off to that kickstart that you talked about at the LSU game, where the first 5 minutes out of every break is usually the ones you have to look out for the most.
Teams tend to come out a little bit flat, and other teams tend to come out fired up. So that dynamic results in a lot of goals scored in that first 5 minutes when a half begins, and then when the 5 minutes after a goal is scored also tends to be these little swing periods. So Texas has been a little notorious for letting up during those, but here we get a good chance on goal.
Fortune on the far side, crosses in with her left. Cummins on the challenge. A different starter in the midfield as well, Samantha Johnson, resuming her role on the pitch after coming in as a substitution halfway through the first half. Jessica, how big is that penalty miss for Erica Campanelli, especially on the back end of the first half when you're probably looking at a 2-0 advantage going into halftime, coming out, starting the second half? The Longhorns probably have to think that they could have been in a better position.
Well, I think it's only going to be big if USC ties it up or obviously goes on to win. So if they can hold USC and maybe get another one, it's, no big deal. But if they allow USC to squeeze back into this game, then I think it's going to be talked about all the missed opportunities they had, especially in that first half.
Donyak wins the header in the midfield. Ashley Sandoval getting her first touch and really her first physical play with the Texas midfielder, who's really probably the strongest on the team. Donyak, known for being very physical. It's Johnson to Morrow. Zarnagar tripped up. The referee allows the play to continue. Donyak sends a through ball, but nobody's there to chase it down, and the Longhorns will have to retreat. 5 minutes gone here. 1-0 Texas if you're just joining us on TexasSports.com. Donyak goes down. She stays on the ground, and USC continues to play. Sandoval and her in the midfield looks like it's going to be a nice challenge for the rest of the second half. And now it looks like our referee is going to come over, Ted Unkel, and give Petroselli, the head coach for the Texas Longhorns, a yellow card. As far as I know, cards were not allowed to be given in play, but in the NCAA rules, they are.
I think Coach Petroselli a little upset at that physicalness on Donyak. It has been a physical game, as you predicted. I think a little bit more so than I would have thought, actually, from these two teams. But I like it. I like that it's physical, and I like that it's a tough game for both of these teams early in the season. So they're getting a kind of a very diverse game. Physical, good technical play. They're seeing a lot of different things, such as a PK, playing down a player. These are good experiences going into conference play for both of these teams.
Cummins with the win there. Donyak heads on to Zarnagar. Haven't seen much from her. As Jessica pointed out, she was also kept pretty quiet during the UTSA match. Johnson in the middle. Eddie with the left-footed cross. And the ball keeps rolling. Davila will take a shot. On this one, sails just high, but she had a wide open look. It's probably the best look that USC has had so far in this match, dating all the way back to the first half.
Really fantastic turn on Sophie Campisi. Campisi tracked Davila back into the midfield and was right on her, but Davila just did a turn on a dime to get around Sophie Campisi and then rip a shot on goal. Texas needs to be careful here. They can't let up. They're up a goal. The other team only has 10 players. A lot of times teams will let up in that situation. They can't afford to do that. One goal is nothing. You know, a fluke opportunity, something could turn USC's way, and it can be tied here any second.
Well, how many times, Jessica, have you seen and been a part of a team that's played against somebody with 10 men down? You see it all the time on the TV. They just somehow come back and score that one goal. It's because they feel, I guess, the need to come back in those kinds of situations.
They tend to feel the need to pick it up more. You know, they know, oh, we're down one person. We each individually need to pick it up. And a lot of times, if the other team kind of lets their level drop, that amount of energy boost can turn into some good goals. And you saw there, USC was pushing numbers forward. They had 3 people in the box when Davila had that shot. So they're getting numbers forward. They're not sitting back and countering. They're really pressing with numbers. So Texas needs to be aware and not let up in the backfield.
Play restarted. Nice shoulder charge in the back from Donyak on Sandoval, and she comes right back at her. That's probably because the first one was missed, in my opinion, and Texas will get the free kick as Donyak stays down on the turf.
I think Donyak might stay down for as long as she possibly can before I guess he's not going to make her go off the field, but that time on the field allows them to rest a little bit and kind of regather themselves too. They're not starting off the second half, I think, the way they really wanted to, so I think this is a little bit of a moment to regroup now and try and get a bit more organized.
Well, round 2 from Donyak, Sandoval, won by Sandoval. After the first one was won by Donyak, and offside called by the near side referee, although play is allowed to continue on the advantage of the keeper getting control. Eddie plays crossfield. Making the run is Mia Bruno. She continues it into the corner. USC will get the throw in. Davila on her left foot, but a nice diving stop for Lucy Keith and all 6 feet of her to keep that one from going into the penalty area, and they'll get another corner kick. It's the first of the second half.
I think a concern in the back, with Keith and Payne is maybe Keith's speed in the back, but her long legs does such a good job of, if she does get beat, sliding and getting those balls away. So I really like Keith in the central back there. I think her 6-foot frame just offers so much in the backfield. And again, she's done a fantastic job today.
Haug takes the responsibility for the corner away from Davila. It'll come in high towards the back post. Johnson's there, but it goes over her head. Some weak clearance here from the Texas Longhorns. They have to knock it out on the sideline for a throw-in.
Terry, you can watch it on your computer because this one's just about to go down.
Well, Fortune playing some defense as she's all the way back. Hannah Higgins, the lone striker for Texas, up top right now. Eddie lets this one run through, and it trickles off the goal line for a goal kick, and the Longhorns can calm things down yet again. And this is really the breaking point. Those 10 minutes gone in the second half were made to the Longhorns, and head coach Chris Petroselli can point a few things out.
Well, they need to figure out where the open player is. Again, USC only has 10 players. That means somebody is open all the time for Texas. They need to be smart enough to look up and find each other's feet and keep the ball a little bit more. They're just turning it over way too much, and that's allowing these dangerous counters from USC.
Strong heading challenge from